Hello, Suresh. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Yiga, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very good morning. So you're clearly audible.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Professor Abdul Aziz. You are audible.
Thank you, madam. Shall we invite our Vice Chancellor at 10:45?
So 10:45.
Yeah, 10:55, I say. Sorry.
So yes, sir.
Madam, Executive Director is joining, madam?
So as far as I know, I don't think so he'll be able to join, but still we are getting in touch with him.
Okay.
Good evening, Professor Aziz, sir. Dr. Sushma.
Good morning, madam. Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, madam. How are you, madam?
Sir, all good, sir. I had a word with our director because we have the general body meet today.
Yes,
so
madam.
I think they're all leaving for the North Block in a while. So that's
Okay.
so he has sent us regret. And I think,
No
sir,
issues.
let's wait for 10 more minutes because we have more than 500 nominations and only 21 have joined. I think it will be nice once at least, a decent number joins, and then we should invite
Yeah,
BC, sir. Yes, sir.
that is no issues at
Oh, sir. Okay.
Hmm. ಏನು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible, sir?
You are audible, but am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
But our university logo is not properly depicted at all. ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, sir. ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, sir.
Okay, okay. So when you tell, we will start. I am ready. Beam ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ?
I think they have already broadcasted, sir. Waiting for the people to join.
ಅದು ಸುರೇಶ್ ಲಮಾಣಿ ಕೂದಲೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಪ್ಪ.
So business.
ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಬಿಡಪ್ಪ. ಸುರೇಶ್ ಲಮಾಣಿ ಕೂದಲು ಸರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ. ಅಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡ ಏನು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ನೋಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೋಟ್ ಗೀಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀನ್ ಎತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಕೂಡು ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ. ಯು ಆರ್ ಅವರ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ರಿಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಟುಡೇಸ್. ನೀನು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ಯಾ? ಅಜೀಜ್ ಅವ್ರು ನೋಡಿದಾರ ನಿನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್?
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಏನ್ ಅಜೀಜ್ ಅವ್ರೆ?
Yes, sir. I have just yesterday ಇನ್ನೇ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಸ್ಲೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡು. ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್.
Sir, Dr. Sushma this side.
सुषमा जी नमस्कार. नमस्कार सुषमा जी.
Namaste, sir. Glad to have you with us. And once again, good morning, Professor Aziz ji and Dr. Suresh.
Good
We
morning.
also have, I think, Dr. Prakash with us.
Yeah, Prakash sir has joined.
Sir, I
madam.
just introduce you to Aradhana. She's a young professional, so she works with me in my team. So we look after the Center for Climate Change, and we are the ones who look to the rural development sector. She's a bright young student. She's just joined.
Good morning,
now.
sir. Thank
So she's joined us a year ago with an idea.
You need not tell young. She is already young.
Yeah.
For us, then you will introduce as old people.
That's the designation we have given them. They are young professionals.
Young professionals and old professionals, both are there.
Yes, sir. So there is an importance of both the young and old. You need the experience and you need the young ones with the zeal also. So that is also required. So it's the tool that works, I feel.
Okay. Have you broadcasted it?
Yes, sir.
I think Aradhana, let's start formally.
Yes.
Okay.
How many have joined?
So till now we have 80 and counting, more counting.
Okay. I leave to the organizers when they have to start.
Yes.
You can take decision.
Okay. So then I'll start with the webinar session.
Please.
A very good morning and welcome to the webinar on integration of disaster risk reduction in Gram Panchayat Development Plan, jointly organized by National Institute of Disaster Management and Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayati Raj University, Gadag District. For this webinar, I would like to welcome firstly our Executive Director, Major General Manoj Kumar Biddal. I would also like to welcome Professor Vishnukant S. Chatpalli, Vice Chancellor, KSR DRU Gadak. Welcome to our webinar, sir. I would also like to welcome Professor Abdul Aziz, Assistant Director, Center for Training, Publication and Supervision. For this webinar, we have our esteemed speakers, Dr. Suresh Lamani and Dr. Sushma Guleria. Dr. Suresh Lamani is Program Coordinator, Geoinformatics and Convener, Disaster Management Cell. And Dr. Sushma Guleria is Assistant Professor at National Institute of Disaster Management. I would also like to welcome our fellow nominees and our fellow participants for the webinar. Moving ahead with the session, I would like to...
sorry to interrupt. We also have Dr. V.S. Prakash. I'm not sure if sir has joined or not.
Yeah, he has joined. He has joined.
Pardon me, we also have with us Dr. V.S. Prakash, Member, Karnataka State Tank Conservation Development Authority. We welcome you to our webinar, sir. Now, moving ahead with the schedule, I would like to invite Dr. Professor Abdul Aziz, Assistant Director, Center for Training, Publication and Supervision. He is a permanent member in the team of preparation of Integrated Business Plan, Annual Action Plan, Strategic Marketing Plan, and Prospective Plan for Vision. He has worked in capacity of Deputy Manager, Managing Director of Milk Union. We welcome you to our webinar, sir. I would request you to start with the inaugural remark.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. Good morning, everyone. Respected Executive Director, National Institute of Disaster Management, Major General Manoj Kumar sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University, Professor Vishnukant Chatpalli sir, respected V.S. Prakash sir, and eminent speakers of this webinar, Dr. Sushma Madam, and Dr. Suresh Lamani sir, and Anuradha Madam, and the people who have joined, the respected delegates, professionals, academicians, and faculty members, students who have joined this webinar. Today, as you all know, the National Institute of Disaster Management, Delhi, in association with Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University, Gadag, Karnataka, organized a webinar on integration of disaster risk reduction into Gram Panchayat Development Plan. Just for the benefit of the people who have joined this webinar, I just want to give some brief information about our Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University. This is Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University. It is a unique university in the area of rural development and Panchayat Raj in the country. This university acts as a center of excellence to transform rural society by creation of dedicated, committed human resource to ensure sustainable rural development. Karnataka State Rural Development Panchayat Raj University started its academic activities during the year 2016 and 17. There are 10 postgraduate programs are running, and we have got around 500 students already taking part in postgraduate programs. The emphasis of our university is in academics, research, training, and extension activities. Apart from this, university has 2 learning centers. One center is Center for Research, Innovation and Evaluation, and another center is Center for Training, Publication and Supervision. That the second center, the Training, Supervision, Publication, I am looking after that center. The objective of this center, the training center, is to impart various type of training programs for elected representatives of Panchayat Raj system, and also the people who are working in Panchayat Raj activities, the officers and other line department people. The center is already conducting various need-based training programs. We have conducted, before this pandemic, we have conducted various training programs like solid liquid waste resource management, and for PDOs. After the pandemic, we had online training program for Panchayat development officers regarding preparation of GPDP plan, and also regarding disaster management, 1 3-day training program, online program we have conducted. Further, it gives me an immense pleasure to take to be in association with the National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi. We are very happy to get associated with the national level, very renowned institution for this webinar. This webinar, this inspiration of this webinar and the purpose of organizing this webinar is to take forward the 10-point agenda. The Prime Minister, our Honorable Prime Minister, 10-point agenda on India's disaster risk management roadmap to climate resilient and sustainable development. It is very essential to integrate disaster risk reduction to Gram Panchayat development plan. In many of states in the country, they have started in the process, they are preparing in the process of development of this Gram Panchayat development plan. For the integration of this disaster risk management, it is very essential. In Karnataka also, the disaster GPDP plan, it is in the process of preparation. And in fact, the Gadag district where our university is located, this district has been selected as a pilot district for the preparation of a GPDP plan, and the university is also actively participating and supporting all technical support to preparation of this GPDP plan. With this intention, we thought that we can use the concept of disaster risk reduction and also to give some insight of preparation, how it can help with the preparation of the GPDP plan, so that how we can take forward. In the course of this 2 hours discussion, our eminent speakers will talk on the subjects of integration of GPDP plan and how the GPDP plan is prepared in Karnataka and what are all the parameters, indicators to be taken into consideration while preparing GPDP plan. With this, once again, welcome all the delegates, all the eminent people, all the people who have joined this webinar, and thank you very much, madam.
Thank you. Thank you for your inaugural remarks, sir. Now, moving forward to the session, we have Professor Vishnukant S. Chatpati, Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayati Raj University, Gadag District. Total 40 years of experience from 1981 to 2019, including 10 years of deputation. Professor Vishnukant holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering and has pursued teaching with passion and completed post-graduation in Production Management and doctoral studies in Business Administration and postdoctoral in DLIT in Strategic Shift Ecosystem for Skilling Adolescents. Sir has successfully made a parallel mid-career shift into areas of teaching, industry, research and consultation, administration, and training development. Sir, we are privileged to have you with us during this webinar session. We request you to give your inaugural address and grace the occasion. Over to you, sir.
Namaskar.
Yes.
Respected Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, our dear friend Dr. V.S. Prakash, Faculty of National Institute of Disaster Management, Professor Abdul Aziz from our KSRDPRU, Sushma ji, Suresh Lamani ji, Aradhana, and all the participants. This event has come to the limelight today for the suggestion and efforts made by V.S. Prakash. V.S. Prakash was briefly introduced that he is in this field very active, very serious in trying to mitigate this disaster in the state of Karnataka and country from almost 2 to 3, 4 decades. And he made effort to see that NIDM and KSRDPRU come together and organize this program through Sushma ji. For the first time when Sushma ji discussed that we should conduct such program, I was very happy because we are getting collaborated with an institute whose core activity is disaster management. As explained by Professor Aziz, that we are just a 3-year-old unique organization with the focus on rural development and Panchayat Raj. But we are very happy to get associated with an institute of eminence, National Institute of Disaster Management, to reach out this important topic. As said by Prime Minister in his talk several times, he said that we have been talking more on disaster management than we are able to mitigate or reduce the risk in this field to a large extent. I am sitting in Gadag today, but if you go through the today's and yesterday's newspaper and the TV media, when we see, we are amidst a great important flood disaster in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. There was heavy rainfall yesterday, which was not seen by Hyderabad or Andhra Pradesh, Rajahmundry, Visakhapatnam in last several years. And this disaster has continued, and its impact on Karnataka also. NDRF is totally now on the field to try to see that how this disaster can be monitored, because several villages, and when disaster happens, the immediate victim of this disaster are our villages. I don't feel that when disasters of large type, when rain, flood, drought, many natural disasters that have happened, except that which is pandemic, which we are seeing the disaster today, which has this disaster of pandemic is across the globe to all the places. But when we try to segregate disasters which have been happening in the past or which has been happening continuously, and most of the disasters which have happened, it may be through the rain or flood or drought, the direct victim or its impact is the village. And many a time when these disasters have happened, villages have been wiped out. The habitations have just totally devastated. And the human civil society or whatever is there in that village has got a high impact factor which they can't sustain it. And today I am just going through all the news from the morning to find out what is the impact, and many villages are being affected by this. And hence it becomes a very important concept or responsibility that ultimately it is at the village level this disaster risk reduction has to happen. Sitting in a headquarter or at some place where urban place and try to only have a paper plan of managing disaster at local level will not help. So this webinar will help us to understand both. This is what the key resource persons will be able to highlight. One is what is the concept of disaster risk reduction and how it can be done. And if it has to be done effectively, how it can be done at the Gram Panchayat level. Now at Gram Panchayat, fortunately, today there are what we can say elected representatives and people who are sensitive to this aspect, and many times they have been very responsibly working out with the controlling of this risk disaster to the large extent because of their involvement and attachment. So at gram level or the village level, belonging is their sense of ownership, is their sense of their emotional attachment is there. And when they are provided with the effective scientific tools and scientific methods, I think they would be able to do it better than some agency coming from external and trying to reduce the risk. So always it is a first person approach. And this first person approach can happen only when we try to equip the people at the Gram Panchayat level. So effort is being done by all agencies to see that this disaster reduction can happen effectively at the Gram Panchayat level. And hence in this Prime Minister's agenda, there is a sixth point which has been given great importance on developing a network of universities to work on disaster issues. And there is a clarion call for all universities. The role of university is not only to provide teaching, learning or academic work, but it has to just try to help the society and try to see that the people's life is made better, their livelihood are made better. So various central universities, IITs and other organizations have come in the network to assist the disaster management team in the country. As a rural development university, I feel that it is our moral responsibility. And this moral responsibility, I would like to continue with this effort as to how we can strengthen this at the Gram Panchayat level. In whatever way the National Institute of Disaster Management is already conducting various kinds of training programs, seminar, awareness, action plans, and all these things. In all these activities at local level or apart from that at the national level, wherever the intervention is needed, because we have a team of MSc Geoinformatics team is there, and we have a young qualified faculty, along with the guidance support of people like V.S. Prakash and National Institute of Disaster Management. We wish that this also becomes one of our important agenda for mitigating disaster, because if we do only construction activity and we do not have the prevention activity, preservation activity, conservation activity, risk management activity, the construction activity or the developmental activity will have no meaning. So I always prefer that at one stage we have to do simultaneously, parallelly two kind of activities. One is the developmental activity, and see that the second is also very important, is to reduce the risk. So along with the development and along with the control of risk or disaster, this institute or our university will actively collaborate with the objectives and the activities of National Institute of Disaster Management. I wish that this program will just is a beginning, and we look forward for many more such activities. And on behalf of university, I provide my heartfelt thanks to Major General for getting associated with this university, and also Sushma ji for providing this opportunity. Dhanyavad, namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for the inaugural remark. Now, moving ahead with the session, we have Dr. V.S. Prakash, member, Karnataka State Tanks Conservation Development Authority. V.S. Prakash is former Special Director of Karnataka State Natural Disaster Monitoring Center, an autonomous body affiliated to Department of Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka, India. He was trained as a postgraduate in Earth Science from Central College, Bangalore, post-graduation in Exploration Geophysics from Osmania University, Hyderabad, and post-graduation in Water Resource with specialization to remote sensing and GIS from International Institute of Aerospace and Earth Science, Netherlands. He has served in various capacities in Government of India and Government of Karnataka since 1973. We welcome you to our webinar session, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And respected Vishnukant Chatpalli, sir, Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Rural Development Panchayat Raj University, and my friends in NIDM, Sushma and others, and friends from Rural Development Panchayat Raj University, and all the participants. So I want to be very brief, and today's theme is very, very important. And as Professor Vishnukant Chatpalli said, already they've made a first of its kind attempt to really address the issues of disaster management and what is needed to take up this issue in the days to come at the Gram Panchayat level. Just I would share a few slides. Is it okay?
Please.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello, I'm not able to. Is it visible?
So can you see the option, the icon share?
Yeah, I know. But is it visible now?
No, sir. So I have made you the presenter.
Okay. Yeah, share and share content.
Yes, sir.
And again, is it start or screen one?
So start.
Start. Share.
Yes. It's visible, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, is it visible? Is it
So
visible now?
So I guess it's loading. So it is loading.
It's okay?
No, sir, it's not visible.
Okay. I will stop and share. Is it visible now?
No, sir. Sir, the presentation has loaded, but it is blank.
Oh. Now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can go on.
Yeah. So in brief, the disaster management and Gram Panchayat scale requires a few new thinking, new insights. Let me just share with you. And when we talk about the risk at Gram Panchayat level, probably we need to classify them to known, unknown, unknown. The community needs need to be understood. Probably what we have been doing is talking at a district level, district disaster management authority, and state level. But the needs at the Gram Panchayat level is something more, much more. Expectations are much more. So as Professor Vishnukant Chatpalli sir rightly said, we have got we have a responsibility on our shoulders to really think on the needs of taking the risk reduction at Gram Panchayat. Certainly we can do that. We have got the So when we talk about the government, we talk about the policy, but at the community, they are interested in the results. What is the projects taken in their area and things like the programs and projects. Probably we need to converse somewhere together. When we look at the previous disasters, the community which needs assistance, which needs support, which need inputs, compared to that, what we are able to reach is a very small component of the entire community. That means we are yet to really do a lot of work to provide the inputs. So when we talk about the risk reduction, the early warning system, what will be, see, it is going to rain. It's not going to rain. It's going to be a thunderstorm. More than that, the farmer needs, what will it do to me? What will it do to my land? What will happen to my crop? In fact, I will share some of the things which I have done, which we have done in Karnataka. So when we want to address issues at the Gram Panchayat level is monitoring and data acquisition, analysis and forecasting, warning, response, all the above require science and technology interventions, of course, other factors too. So certainly now we need instrumentation for that aspect. This is a telemeter rain gauge, which I would like to share with all of you. Karnataka has 8,000 sensors nearly. Every Gram Panchayat has got a telemeter rain gauge, which provides the data at the interval of every 15 minutes, comes to the central server, and it gets it gets loaded on a GS map, and at any 15 minutes, anybody can see which are the Gram Panchayat where the rainfall has been very heavy, dark blue color, and where it has rained, so that the vulnerable areas at that point of time can be picked up. So here, this is the every Gram Panchayat has got a rain gauge. You can see here, the local community has been trained. They calibrate it, they maintain it, and the local farmers, they really see the rain gauge there. They see that it is being maintained. They have confidence in the data. And here you see the help desk, 30-line help desk working 24/7, all the 365 days. So it is a push and pull system where every farmer who calls the help desk, first time when he calls his name, village, obli, taluk, firka, mandal, is noted down. Next time when he calls, he need not tell his name. And the system displays his name and things like that. And well, whatever information is provided, and also at the same time, what he needs, what is the situation there, will also be pulled back from him. So this is, as I said, this is the telemetry engage. See, for example, here, when there was only one sensor in the entire taluka, for example, I've taken this Balki taluka and Bidar district. Professor Vishnukant Chatpalli sir was mentioning that this area has been facing heavy rain over the last 3-4 days, and there is a lot of issue. Crop loss seems to be very, very high because I'm receiving almost 50 to 100 calls every day. So people are, farmers are very much worried. Anyway, now here with one sensor, you can see the entire taluka is classified into one category. When I have Hobli level sensors, as a mandal or Hobli level, this entire taluka narrows down to one Hobli. And when I have Gram Panchayat level sensors, it is confined to one small part. So when I used to go to any decision maker community with the first picture, they used to really ignore me. Second picture, they started listening to me. Third one, it became indispensable. Any decision, any talk, people started looking at us because we had we had zero down to Gram Panchayat level, we had the information to share with the people. So here you can see a hailstorm. You can identify the Gram Panchayat which has been affected, dark blue color. And here is in the Chitradurga district, the heavy rain, flood is there. Here you can see on particularly here at about night 10:45, the first alert comes 62 millimeter per hour, and the flooding takes place at about 11:45. In 1 hour, probably here the community was aware that they're going to have trouble because the network has been created, local people are involved, and again this one here you can see the alert which at 17:45, 5:45 in the evening, and at 7 o'clock the water inundation was there in the houses, rural area. This is in a village. So here, see in here, the alert was given. The people in the village could able to take their precious belonging along with the kids to the the attic, higher place. And here you can see one example where this is one taluka. See, one heavy rain only one gram panchayat, surrounding one gram panchayat of 87 millimeter, and it was a fair there. So with this type of information, when we go to the community, they will have confidence to us. They will listen to us. Probably, otherwise, it really flows above their head. Hello. Yeah, and you can see at district level, probably the vulnerability risk areas has very well mapped with the proper monitoring. Hello? So again, when we talk about vulnerability at Gram Panchayat level, we need to consider physical vulnerability, economic vulnerability, social vulnerability, and emotional vulnerability also. Probably, so the community requires it. We need to really go to the community, talk to them. So I just am going to share with you the assessment at household level, at Gram Panchayat level. What is the inputs which we got from the community when we really talk to them at the Gram Panchayat level? So, I'm not able to, yeah. See here, or you may not be able to see, but anyway, I've tried to explain it. You've got 8 pictures. The first one is household level survey. What we could able to gather is average household taking loan. So it is in the rural area. The first one, top, the first one. The second one is well, household benefiting from relief work from government. You can see some of the red colored districts. The community said hardly we have been benefited by the relief work. The third is fall in net irrigated area. You can see the variability. And the fourth is fall in irrigated area by groundwater. Here the bottom, the first picture, increase in average depth of bore wells. And second one, the bottom, household with water shortage. Third in the bottom, household with decline in milk yield. Fourth, decline in satisfaction with quantity of drinking water. So unless we really narrow down to Gram Panchayat, the household level, probably, whatever we try to do is, so when we capture, because we say hydrological drought, meteorological drought, and agricultural drought, probably when we go to Gram Panchayat level, household level, talk to them, you find a lot of difference the way we perceive and the way the community perceive. For example, here in the meteorological drought, when asked, go to the village, here the list of villages are given. Few villages have taken, for example, and you just go to them, what is their experience of the rainfall? Okay, for example, here, some of the villages, here, see, Yelladakere, they say 8 out of 10 years, their rainfall was inadequate as per their experience. And many villages, here is 9, Chillaldi, 9 years out of 10 years, they out with their experience, they say that the deficit rainfall. So when you take hydrological drought, the deficit of water, hydrological drought, the tanks getting dry, nalas getting dry, their perception is totally different than the way we perceive. So, and third is agricultural drought. Probably here you can see Yelladakere again. They say last 10 years, all the 10 years, they had agricultural drought. But the way we perceive right now with the existing system, so we somewhere we have not have this much resolution. We need to enhance our resolution to really to address the needs of the community there. So again, a lot of things are going on. Drinking water is a very big issue. RDPR department is a big challenge to them. And in spite of doing the best of their effort, the problematic villages almost have remained the same. Numbers have remained the same, or in fact is increasing. The tanks are remaining dry, and you can see here, this is the government of India, NCMRWF, which has brought out. I was also committee of the member of the committee which brought out drought management manual for the entire country. You can see Karnataka, the parts where almost 16 out of 19 previous years, they were all drought affected. So we have got a challenge here at the Gram Panchayat level, the way perceived as a single drought year, consecutive drought year, 16 out of 19 years, it is a different perception altogether. And how to really manage our tanks. Again, RDPR, They have got the Narega work, a lot of works are taken up. They have got a big challenge in understanding, getting insight and planning the work. This is a tank here. This is how the outward it looks like. When I want to take any work, the subsurface geology, hydrogeology need to be known. And once I know the subsurface hydrogeology, whatever intervention I can do, it could be useful to the community. See, for example, here this is 120-acre water spread area tank. The depth of groundwater varies from just 12 meters to 72 meters within 120 acre. This is the tank bed, and these are the blue dots are the wells which you have monitored. This could be the variability in a Gram Panchayat. So unless we understand it, so understanding a small water cycle which is really operating at the Gram Panchayat level and land parcel level is very much needed to address the disaster risk reduction. A lot of data is required, data to knowledge, knowledge to information, information to wisdom. Adding to the wisdom of the local community is very much needed. Over and above, you've got the climate change. We are talking about climate change. We need to really address this issue. What could be the impact of the climate change on every Gram Panchayat and every village, maybe every land parcel, to address the issue of DRR, disaster risk reduction. So I did mentioned about the telemetry rain gauges, and here we are promoting. In fact, last time also we discussed with the Rural Development Panchayat University, Karnataka, and Dr. Vishnukanth Chatpalli sir and his colleagues. They have taken up, taking the community, promoting the community to be a partner in data collection. With a few bricks, funnel, and bottle, they are able to measure the rainfall and provide us the feedback. And working on a well card concept to provide information to the farmers about the well health condition. What is the health of the well? So here, a lot of filling the void is required when we want to address the issues at Gram Panchayat level. It can be done with data analytics. Data analytics require data, and with data and data analytics, certainly we'll be able to really address issues at the Gram Panchayat level, bringing the science, administration, political system. So monitor and move forward, understand the problem, identify and appraise options, delivery solutions, and among us sitting together, why, what, how, interrelationship between documents. And as I said, analytics, prescriptive analytics, inquisitive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, preemptive analytics. Certainly, there is a responsibility on us, and really, it is. I feel so happy, that the Karnataka State Rural Development Panchayat and University and NIDM have joined hands. Probably, certainly, will be able to take up these issues in the days to come. And at a Gram Panchayat level, there's a lot of data, land and soil, water, crop production, and all those things, putting together and so bringing the concept of equity, equality to equity, and providing a prognostic diagnostic tools in DRR, learning experience and excelling. These are the issues which are in front of us. Certainly, I feel that this is possible when we really come together, work together. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful insight. And I feel that, if you look at otherwise also as a country, drought seems to be one of the major concerns for the entire country, otherwise as well. And you've beautifully, shown some of the work diligently carried out by you and even the Karnataka State Rural Development University. Drought monitoring, drought management, drought proofing, these are some of the current needs. And keeping in mind the changing climate and weather patterns, this will become much more, imperative and important once we are working at the Gram Panchayat levels, and in their development plans, such integration of such measures are will become very imperative. Thank you so much, sir. We wish you all the best in conducting much more such studies and bringing out such wonderful results to people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Blessed to have you with us for this program. May I now request Dr. Suresh Lamani ji He's a young, dynamic faculty from the Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj Institute University. Sorry, I request him to give his presentation now, and then we'll move forward. Suresh Lamani ji,
Thank you,
over
madam.
to you. Ji.
Okay. Respected, beloved, our University Vice Chancellor, Professor Vishnu Chatpalli sir, then our Professor Abdul Aziz sir, CTPS Center, KSRD PRU, then our, I can say advisory or our well-wisher, Professor VS Prakash sir, who has served as various the institutes and as well as one of the leading institute. So whereas he has established in the Karnataka, KSMNDC, and the NIDM, the faculty members, and all the participants. Madam, may I get the share option? Or?
Yes. Aradhana, please provide him with the share connect. Aradhana, please make Mani the presenter, please.
Yeah,
I think Aradhana has got a bit disconnected. I'm just trying to connect with her.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yes.
No problem. Yes, madam. Now I can.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, it is visible, sir? Yes. Okay. So once again, very good morning. So once again, very good morning, all of you. So this is the webinar, integrated disaster risk reduction into a Gram Panchayat level. So as you all aware that, so Gram Panchayats are one of the major the effects. So whenever this kind of the disaster will occurs, you can take in terms of disaster hazards, the Gram Panchayats always affects. In the we can say the villages. Villages are most affected, are most vulnerable than the our urban and the our city areas. And as you well know that, so India is the one of the dynamic landscape what we have, and which is majorly affected are so we have the major vulnerable areas such as we having the unique geoclimatic conditions, and therefore in every year, so not only I can tell the past or before, in every year, so in the most of the part of our country get flood, drought, cyclone, earthquakes, and the landslides also. So you may aware about it. Though India is one of the country, we have the dynamic landscape, and so here the majorly affects our the what we can say casualties and livestock as well as the economically. So we are what is it? In every year we are going to losses, and you may be aware the COVID-19 is also one of the major biological disasters, so which we are presently facing. And by realizing this, why we need this the Gram Panchayat level planning is to mitigate and response and take into the development planning. So that is our major what is that we can say the agenda, because once we sustain the Gram Panchayat level, the what we can say the mitigation measures, so that can be easily sustained the during the time of the disaster occurs. So you may be aware. So when we talk about the disaster risk management, it is nothing but it is unaccepted, because we cannot think about it. So whether today it will happen, or tomorrow it will happen, or now it will happen, because there is no as such the conditions. At any condition it may happens. Okay, and we can also say that it is the surprisingly it will we can face some kind of the what we can say the adverse situations. So where the the people can also get the what is the panic. Okay, you may be aware very well the what is that the present situation what we are facing, the COVID-19. So the most of the peoples, not only in our country, you can take the global what is the entire globe. So what happening today? The today is the severe what we can say the disaster is COVID-19. That the many peoples are affected from that. But the one more major concern is the stress. The many people there get into the stress because due to the pandemic, the many of them are panic. Okay, so these are the some what we can see the disaster. Then how we can come out from that, and this kind of disaster they are majorly affected to the villages. We can say the local risk levels. Okay, so once we say the disaster risk, so it is nothing but hazard, vulnerability, and exposure. Okay, and how best we can manage. So whenever it occur by natural or man-made. Okay, but it is essential to know after the effect of the disaster, it could be a what is that the casualty losses. Then the property may be damages. Then environmental degradation will be there. Okay, and there are major what we can say the impact also we can face, like it could be a direct or indirect or financial, or we can say when we take into the our village levels, there are many farmers get affected into that, like crop damages. Okay, then we can say their property losses. Okay, so these are the several things which we can look into it. Then when we talk about the risk, it is nothing but the damage and loss, how best we can manage. Okay, then let us come to the community based development planning. So why this community based planning is required? As you are aware, the government of India, they initially selected 169 talukas and nearly 17 states in the state in the India, so that they can prepare the local level local level the risk management, so that can be sustained the upcoming any disaster events, so that we can very well we can manage, so that we can advancedly we can prepare the preparedness plans, then the mitigation measures, and that to the we can link with that the development plannings. Okay, so here you can see the several components of community based disaster planning. So one is that disaster management committee and review and analysis of the past disaster, then seasonal calendars. So here what happens? So when we talk about this disaster committee, so here there are several local bodies are involved. So the majorly here we can say that the local what we can say the communities such as NGOs, then CBOs, then the member of the youth groups such are in the villages, then NSS, then we can say NYKS, that means the Nehru Yuva Kendra, and the women self-help group and youth club members, and there are grassroots level. There are several government functionaries also included with this. And what is this review and analysis of the past disaster? So past disaster means what happens here. See, this is what the historical analysis. When we can understand the what is our past disaster, by realizing that impact, how best we can plan the upcoming events. So maybe we so we are presently we are facing that problems. Okay, so who knows? Maybe in the last times. So there is in Gadag. So in month of August, from 5th August to up to the 11th August. So there was a severe flood were occurred. Okay, so I am the witness, and our university has one of the major major role played, and we have supplied the communities to the fresh drinking water till what is that up to the 1 week. Okay, that from our KSRD per university, and all the faculty members and students from the different departments also we have involved in that. Then when we look at this the calendar of disaster, so you may be knowing why the seasonal calendar is required. Because of, as you know, the whenever the disaster will occurs or hazards will occurs, so there are some seasons will be there. You may be aware the floods will occurs during the rainy seasons. Okay, the forest fire will be occurs during the month of summer seasons, and the cyclones. So these are the very what we can say the fluctuation of the climatical conditions. So that may be occurs. So by realizing this, so we can make the what we can say, the community based planning, and we can prepare the mock drill also, so that how best we are prepared to sustain the coming events. Then when we look at this mapping exercise, how this will help us? So when we talk about the resource mapping and risk, what we can say, the vulnerability maps. So what is the resource? The resource mapping is nothing but the whatever the resource are the present in the villages, and that will help us to know. So where are the our what we can say, the safe houses are there, our buildings are there, our shelters are there, our uplands we have, then evacuation routes, our alternative routes, then we have about the safe routes and health facilities and dedicated volunteers. So when we have this resource map with us, so the during the disaster, and we can very well make our preparedness plan, so that we can save the casualty as well as the livestock also, so that we can move away from the low land area to the upland area to the peoples. And when we talk about this risk vulnerability maps, we can very well identify which are the hazard zones, so that based on that hazard zones we can prepare the what we can say, the zone wise map, the using GIS technology, or we can say the remote sensing based technology. We can use that, and we can very well plan, so which are the vulnerable areas, and what is the causes of the distraction. So that kind of things, when we prepare in the well in advance, that we can save our what we can say, the assets and the casualty as well as the resources also. And that will also help us to know the incorporating all this information into the map, so that the community can easily understand these informations. Then when we talk about the disaster management team, so that team has consists of the several what we can say, the task forces and the local level coordinators, and of course the government machineries also, the functionaries also. So whereas in the Gram Panchayat, so we have a Sarpanch also, we can call it as elected what is that, president. Then the ward members, one senior citizen of the village, then extension officer, we can say member convener, then GP secretary, then the school HM, then high school HM, then one of the village task force member, then representative of the NGOs. So these are the team member who are actually the taking the initiatives to how best we can take up the activities of the disaster management. So here as they are taking them awareness to the early warning team, so that the early warning team will be helps to know the all types of the information by media or communication by telecommunications through the well trained volunteers, as well as the Gram Panchayat what we can say, the PDO Panchayat development officers, and also the NGOs, so who are the well trained, okay, and they can give this early warning, the information to the community, so that the community can aware to how they can what we can understand the condition of the this we can say advanced early warning team. Then evacuation and search and rescue team. So what happens here, the evacuation means they have to identify the peoples, and by the time of the disaster to the rescue, they have to make the task force, so that they can the rescue by the time of the disaster. And shelter management team, management team can be taken up the responsibility of to where has to be the rehabilitation has to be provided, like food, latrine, or you can say the fresh potable water by the time of disaster. So because this I was experienced in the last time. So whereas in the Gadag occurred the disaster, because the many community, they will not aware, because they will get confused, because they don't even what is that, they leave their what we can say their homes, okay, or their properties also, okay. So for them, so whenever we provide some alternative arrangements, they can definitely comes, and they can definitely listen our advisory and other things. Then water and sanitation, what is that, sanitation team, so that is also important by the time of the disaster, whenever it occurs into the local areas. Then medical and medical and first aid team. So in the first aid team means what? There are some major, sorry, not major. There are some minor, or we can say any health related issues. So when they get affected into this disaster, there is a chances up to taken into them the first aid. Then relief and coordination team. So these are all team has to provide the coordination, them to shift one place to another places. Then crisis disposal team. So what happens? So during the responsibility of this team is, the disposal team is to not only the human, even the livestock body also, they can have to taken up those bodies and disposal in the proper place, so that the diseases or any kind of what we can say, the virus may not be spread at the regions. So that is the one of the thing. Then another thing is the trauma counseling team. So that is very important, and nowadays you are all aware about it, quite aware about it. During this COVID-19 situations, the many peoples are get the mental health illness. So why? Because they are into the stress. So that kind of issue, when we find the during the disaster time, so we have to counseling to the people, and we have to give them the self confidence and come out from this what we can say, the panic situations. And damage assessment team. So these are all the team can be taken up the responsibility. What is the casualty as damage or losses in the villages? They can go into the what we can with the team. And I'm happy to share with you, our Professor Abdulaziz sir has made a survey in the some 40 villages in the Gadag, sir, around the Gadag district, and we have collected due to the COVID-19, how many these workers get affected. Not just workers, they are what we can say, the labor workers. So those who are affected. So we have made a survey, and then we have collected some feedbacks, and most of them are migrants from here to the Bangalore, or Bangalore to some other state also. They have remigrated, and this is what the remigration. And our university also the planning to conduct the training program for them. We can say that skill based training program. So according their interest. So we are planning in upcoming days also. Then identification of the hazard with the respect of the specific mitigation activities, so that how best we can identify the region. Because suppose you can take the example of the any river flows, so in between the village or near the villages, we can identify them, and we can make sure that to the mitigation activity, so that the people can, whenever the heavy rainfall will occurs, the people can away from that regions. And community contingency fund. So this is also one of the important thing, because since we all talk about this I can do, that I can do, but it will not really going to work in the villages, because they need the what is that fund to manage this kind of rescue situations. Because so we have to protect people, then we have to manage the damage, then we have to assess. So these are all things. While managing these all things, we need a contingency fund that will really help by the time of disaster. Then what is this the preparation of the CBDP plan or process? So here how best the community can taken up some of the preparation or awareness activities, such as they can taken up the awareness campaign to the among the community peoples. They can frequently talk about what is the causes of the disaster, then what is the causes of the hazards, so that they can well in advance they can prepare themselves. And for them also we can train we can say the respective the local school HM or the members, PDOs, they may can help. Then training of the Gram Panchayat and then block level members, so that they can also aware this kind of hazards, and whenever it is occurs, they may take the initiative to the what is that, help to the people. The identification of the village volunteers and training. We can say TOT, trainers of trainers. So we can identify them, and we can train them, so that they can also make awareness to the among the communities. And we can also train to the PRI members, so that this Panchayat Raj Institute members also can play very important role. They can also what is that, the spread this kind of awareness information among the community. And specialized training of the DTM, so that some of the specialized training such as the how to protect the during the disaster, and how then like such as the mock drill and such as the fire incident, such as the what we can say flood incident, how to we can protect ourselves. So that kind of training also be taken care of here. Then sensitization of the meeting at the village and community level, so that as Prakash sir has mentioned a very good point out here. So since we are all talking about the information in the only the records, but that will not work. We should go to the community and we should ask their problems, okay, and how they are affected, like past and the present disaster kind of situation, so that we can come to know the reality, because the government will not the present the reality, what is that, the in front of us. We can see only the reports, but whether that report, how much it is what is that accurate, or how much it is believed from the local community, I don't know. But that has to be taken care here. Then women participation, community based disaster preparedness. So why women participation here? Because as you know, whenever any disaster occurs in the village or any kind of area you can taken up, so there are most of the vulnerable group is women and the child, because they will get panic and they will get immediately the what we can say, the mental health illness. So while involving them, so we can also prepare so that they can maybe aware the what kind of plannings are taken up, and how best we can assess them. So this is how, so once we taken up that what is that CBDP, the plans and the preparedness plan, then how we can link with this to the decentralized planning, to make the strengthening a decentralizing planning. Because as you aware, the what is the decentralized planning, that has to be taken in a hierarchy process. So in that hierarchy process, all the community can take their helps in the various group, because as you are aware, there are several groups. So majorly we can say yeah, what we can say, self-help groups, then NGOs, there are several other. So they can take up such kind of activities under the government of India as the guidelines. But so far, as my observation, in a till date, there is no as such policies or framework has formed to the village level. But it takes time. But anyways, we can look after that. Now let us talk about the role of technology in disaster management planning in Gram Panchayat level. So PACE technology is one of the major what is that input for the disaster management. As you are aware that, so ISRO has established even till date we are compare that I think the 51 year, and ISRO has launched more than 180 satellites so far, and yet to be, so it has planned the several what is that, the big initiatives to mitigate the disaster and preparedness plans also. And in that, the ISRO has having there are three types of satellite observation. One is land and water, then cartographic, and ocean and atmospheric. So these are all the three types of satellites are provide the enormous information about our land. Okay, so we can very well we can come to know that so where and how we can taken up the mitigation and preparedness activities by the time of the disaster. So you may be aware the last incident of the Kerala as well as the Kodagu also. So where the landside were occurred, because using our Cartosat and the local telemetric sensors of the Karnataka KSMNDC, so we have rescued the many peoples. So this is what one of the example we can see. And this whatever this data, so we are getting from the our Indian remote sensing satellites, so they are providing the valuable inputs. So whenever we can taken up the any activities. So you may be aware SISDP planning, so satellite based information decentralized planning, so that is already has taken care by the ISRO. But even though, so when we talk about the GP level, it is even require the more accurate level up to the parcel level information. So we require, so that we can easily mitigate, and which part of the village has affected, or which part of village has more severely vulnerable area or hazardous we can able to identify. And see why this satellite data will plays important role, because this is what as Prakash VS Prakash sir has mentioned that, so this technology is not only an important part, but here it is required for to the integration of the space and ground observation information, so that so whenever, so we will not get any information from the ground, at least we can take the inputs from the space. So these two information are provide the spatial location based information, so that we come to know easily so where the community are affected, so that so we can make them alternative arrangements during the disaster management, and this data will be help us. So in terms of IMD, so you may be aware, so Indian Meteorological Department also providing the early warning system, then semi warning, district wise, then no costing, and agromet advisories to the farmer also. So even then we need the more accurate and the precise informations. So for that we need the what, not only the satellites, also we need the data to analysis them. Okay, so using in a different altitude range level, also high resolution satellite, then multispectral satellite sensors, then microwave satellite data also we are so we need to analyze. So this will help us to understand what is the ground reality, and the upcoming event we can successfully we can manage with this help of this pace and as well as the ground data. Yeah. Then when we talk about this geospatial technology, these we can also say the geoinformatics, so remote sensing and GPS and global positioning. So these are all provide the valuable input as well as the information. So by the time of the disaster or any kind of the risk assessment we can taken up, because so when we talk about remote sensing, we provide the enormous data of the what we can say multi-day data as well as high resolution data, and the GPS will provide the location based information, so that we can come to know that which part of village and which is the vulnerable area, also we can identify the GIS. So GIS is the integration part of this technology, so that this technology will provide the input to the GIS, so that the integration of, so we can prepare the maps, as Prakash sir has mentioned that with help of GIS we can come to know that so which are the areas are receive the high high rainfall density, and which are the less. So for that we can make use of this GIS tool. Okay, that GIS tool will be help us to know what is exactly happening in the ground. Yeah, likely to say, so these are all components of the geoinformatics, like remote sensing, then GIS, then global positioning system, and you may be aware digital photogrammetry and UAE, unmanned aerial vehicle also, that will also plays very important role where the man cannot be reached, so where we can also fly the drone and we can get the informations. And this upcoming days also we can make use of this high precision information of the satellite, what is that, the remote sensing data of drone we can make use of to rescue operations. And also information and communication technology also very important to know the what kind of information we can spread among the community. So by the time of disaster, any kind of hazards will be occurred in the village level. Okay, and you may be aware how the remote sensing data can be help us to study about the disaster as well as the and the sustainable and the mitigation measures we can make use of the using in various ground platforms, like ground based sensor also we can use, then we can use the drones, then aircrafts as well as the satellite or the data also in the various synaptic coverage data also help us to know what is the condition and the mitigation measures we can take up using these technologies, and how we can use this technology as an effective management. So I can say in one word why this geospatial technology is very important, plays very important role, because we are collecting the spatial location information than attribute information. So when we link both of them, then we come to know what is the incident where happened and what is the losses, whether it is human or whether it is building or whether it is the land or any kind of the features were affected. So that kind of information will come to know when we integrated the ground, the what we can say the real picture with the spatial location information. So in terms of the planning and the decision making, then mitigation measure or the preparedness or we can say the cycle of this disaster management will be effectively works. So when we use this kind of geospatial technology. So I will take you to one of the best example of our Karnataka state disaster monitoring center. As Prakash sir has mentioned that there are 8,000 what we can say the telemetric stations are installed over the entire Karnataka, and those are all provide the artificial intelligence based information in every 50 minutes, and from that we can help the many communities so that the community can get aware, because this is only one state in India, I can proudly say, because we installed more than 800 what we can say the telemetric rain gas station, so that automatically we can get information. As sir has mentioned also, the many farmers can also get the what we can say information through the telephonic conversation. So once they can get register, they may not they again need not to need any information further, so that they can come to know. So that kind of information we can provide. Okay, and so this is also this similar way. Yeah, so you can look at in these both images, we can also compare this all weather stations into the Gram Panchayat level and even Hobli wise also. And this will provide, because as Prakash sir has mentioned one of the important point. So when I talk about Gadag district, then nobody will believe me. So when I talk about the one of the Hobli in the Gadag, then also nobody will believe me. When I go to the household survey, they will listen me. Okay, oh, this is what the problem they are exactly facing in the villages. So then this kind of informations are really help us to the farmers. So especially because the farmers are one of the major vulnerable group also, because during this kind of, because they have grown up the different types of varieties of crops and other things, they when they get affected, the farmers are really they are come down in the stage. Because, okay, so this is also one of the example, as already the Prakash sir has mentioned, because I'm not going to discuss much about this, because since we talk about a one taluka or a village or a panchayat, so when we exactly go into the look into the matter of the local information, so that will really help us to identify the what is the severe problem. Okay, and there is one of the applications. So what exactly they using in the case MNDC, that is Varuna Mitra. So this is well equipped technology, so that that is functions around 24/7, so that the any farmers can get the information freely. So there is no any cost about that, and also they can also get the SMS also. So when they install these applications, so that is also one of the possible way. And the satellite based agriculture drought assessment. So this is one of the severe problem we are facing in our entire country, because the drought is the one of the severe problem. And as you take as you look into the Karnataka scenario, also North Karnataka is one of the highest vulnerable of the drought because the drought is the one of the major occurrence here, because due to the climatical variations. Okay, so this is also one of the thing. By looking out this kind of situations, the local level, the local body can taken up to the further action plans. We can say based on the agroclimatic zones of the Karnataka, as well as they can also prepare the district level of what we can say agroclimatic zones, and that to effectively manage into the villages. Especially villages are, I can say in one word, revenue levels. So that will be really helps to the farmer, because tomorrow someone will ask you. So if you so we are preparing the prepared the plan about the district, but the farmer will definitely ask, so what is use up in my agriculture land? So by realizing that kind of situation, also we can think of how best we can sustain the drought assessment also. And as you know that Karnataka is also using the weather-based for what is that Doppler weather radar, so that also during the rainy seasons, and Gadag is also having one of the weather radar stations, and I'm happy to say that. Okay, so this is how the entire Karnataka has been monitoring, and so during the cloudy situations, or the what we can say these seasons, especially in rainfall or any other the drought situation, the Karnataka government has also taken initiative of the cloud seeding. so that also they can sustain the at least a few districts of the farmers. And this is one of the advisory and services from the Karnataka State Natural Disaster Management. So in all the way, the Karnataka State Natural Disaster Management has taken care of the all this kind of survey, all this kind of information like research and development, common man, agri and community in agro-based services. And that credit has to goes to the VS Prakash sir, because he is one person who is behind this standing this wonderful department in the India. I cannot say in Karnataka, in India, because it's a model. It's a model in the throughout our country. I'm happy to share with this information with you. And as I mentioned, so this is the information how the farmers are getting from this the Raita Samparka Kendra as well as the KSMNDC through also. Thank you. And once again, I would like to say one more happy. What is that? The information that in upcoming days, so with collaboration of NIDM, so we are also taking the further activities, because since our university is we are just 3 years old, so we have to do also take the guidance and supports from the NIDM, and in upcoming days we can organizing collaborative programmings and the collaborative what we can say policy at the Gram Panchayat level. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Suresh Lamani, for the very insightful presentation on disaster management at Gram Panchayat level and how GIS and remote sensing can be used for disaster studies. And also sorry for the inconvenience and technical issue caused. Now moving further ahead. Yes, sir. Moving ahead with the session, we have with us Dr. Sushma Guleria, Assistant Professor and Coordinator NIDM. She has over 13 years of experience in disaster management realm and currently looks after Center for Climate Resilience and Environment and Center for Water and Land DRR, with focus on eco-disaster risk reduction, climate and environmental related disaster, policies, tools, community resilience, livelihood security, and natural resource management. We welcome you to our webinar, ma'am.
Thank you, Aradhana. Good afternoon, everyone, all the dignitaries. Thank you, Dr. Suresh, for a wonderful presentation and insight. What I will be also sharing is, something on the similar lines. To all the participants, initially when we collaborated with the respective university, the idea was to start with training programs. And what we suggested was that since integration of the concept of disaster risk reduction and disaster management plannings has been made mandatory into the Gram Panchayat development plans. So we decided that let's start with a webinar. Let's just have a platform to interact, just to just to get that feeling, that sensitization of the importance of the very subject. And eventually, with collaboration with the university, we plan to take up online programs. Needless to say, the results that you get best in a face-to-face programs, there's still gaps when you're working online. So there are technical concerns, and there are even otherwise in terms of group activities and group works. So maybe in the coming times, as we all get back to normalcy, we would take up face-to-face programs also with the university. Be into two kind of formats. So one would be the content oriented, specifically maybe for the state of Karnataka, the concerns of the state of Karnataka with respect to different hazards and the disasters. And secondly, the training of trainers, which is also an important area. And training of trainers involves more of a training skills building. So we, based on the content programs, we can identify potential trainers, people who have that zeal, who have that aptitude for becoming an app trainer. And then we can go in for a couple of TOTs also with the university. So that's something is in the pipeline, and we plan to take it up very soon with the university. So moving on, I tried to keep the slides very simple, just to give you all an insight and understanding on the very subject, the very basic essence of what is DRR, what is it to get this integrated into the GPDP levels, the importance. So just a reiteration, this is how the DM cycle looks like. So you have pre-disaster activities and you have post-disaster activities. In between is the transition phase where the hazard, when it comes into contact with different vulnerabilities, there are chances that it turns into disasters of different magnitude and intensities. Also, this would depend upon what would be the capacity that is either available or that is built up with the communities, with the gram panchayats, with the villages, with the urban local bodies, with the peri-urban areas, with the urban areas. So at all levels, what is the amount of capacities available and empowerment provided. So these are related factors that would decide to what extent a hazard would turn into a disaster situation. Now, while the hazard is still there and it has not yet caused any harm, what we all can try and do is either prevent it if possible. To some extent, natural hazards, it's not going to be easy to prevent them, but few man-made human-induced hazards can be prevented. And if that is not possible, the best possible measure to be adopted is mitigation. In Hindi, we call it Nunikaran. So what you can do is you can install some structural and non-structural mitigation initiatives so that at least the impacts of the approaching hazards can be minimized. And of course, since the hazards are going to come in contact with different vulnerabilities, which was the vulnerabilities were highlighted by Dr. Prakash, social vulnerabilities, which includes all your human beings, the special vulnerable groups, the physical vulnerabilities, the environmental vulnerabilities, and economic vulnerabilities. So all the kind of permutation combinations that would be available in a given place will determine what level of a disaster this situation may turn into. And then the third step would be to be in a state of preparedness, to be in a state of readiness to face that approaching hazard, for which two important activities that need to be there in place are early warnings, having good technology in place, and also secondly, ensuring that the warnings reach the desired levels. The dissemination of that warning reaches the desired last mile connectivity. Even the last mile essential services, if they reach those communities, the people who require them the most, to an extent, the impact of the approaching hazard can be reduced. And secondly, it also calls in for evacuation, timely evacuation of people to safer sites and safer zones. These initiatives, prevention, mitigation, and preparedness, are termed as the disaster risk reduction measures. So the focus as part of the Sendai framework, for which India is also a signatory. Sendai is a place in Japan. In March 2015, various countries had met there, and they kind of moved from the Hyogo framework from 2005 to 15, for which also India was a signatory, where the emphasis were to manage disasters. So the emphasis during the Hyogo framework was that all countries, the signatories, must take efforts to manage different disasters. But it was still found that a lot of challenges were still lying. There were a lot of gaps. And the emphasis now, the shift in the Sendai framework was that let us try and minimize the impact of hazards itself. Why to lead it to a situation where a lot of impact is there? So wo impact ko, if it has to be reduced, the emphasis is now more on the pre-disaster measures. So henceforth, if you all hear the term DRR, so whenever we say DRR, it should be clear to you that your efforts need to focus on prevention, mitigation, and preparedness. This is applicable for your Gram Panchayat development plans as well. So all your Gram Panchayat developmental activities, which are based on the rural development, the development sector, promoting different schemes at the rural development Gram Panchayat sectors, they need to have integration of these three measures, trying to prevention, mitigation, and preparedness, which does not mean that you will neglect or ignore the management part of it, which is the post part of it. So response, some sort of temporary restoration, search and rescue, relief, and long-term recovery, which includes reconstruction and rehabilitation measures, are equally important, which form the DRM component. So that is the disaster risk management components. So with this background setting, let's move on to what is desired at the Gram Panchayat level. So it is, to minimize the losses incurred to life, property, and maybe environment, avoid hazards as much as possible, be ready for the impact of approaching hazards. How do you see the role of panchayats? Because the Gram Panchayat development plans are something that would be, facilitated at the panchayat levels itself. So how this whole panchayat system got mainstreamed? It has its own history. So what is the history of this Panchayati Raj institution? We all know that in single layman language, जब हम बोलते हैं, हम कहते हैं panchayats, panch, 5 people may constitute a panchayat, and that has been one of the oldest systems available in our country at the local levels. Traditionally, initially, it used to consist of, the wise and elder members from the community, and they used to take decisions for the benefit of their local communities. They used to even try resolve small criminal issues, the small concerns that used to, kind of bother the villages. When the British rule set in, they were more interested in a more centralized autonomy. They wanted to have a control over the local bodies. So since the panchayat levels were very empowered, that was not desired. And slowly they kind of, abolished this panchayat system, and they had set in the concept of village police, the daroga concept, the patwari concept, which eventually had set in. After the 1857, the first uprising that occurred in India, and slowly the panchayat system was by then destroyed to an extent. But once, after 1857, found that PRI were not able to, they were not given a lot of powers to resolve village disputes, and a lot of such concerns at the village level, measures of controlling them turned unsuccessful. So with the post-independence era, in the first 5-year plan and the second 5-year plan also, a lot of schemes for the rural development benefits were designed. And once the monitoring was done after these 5-year plans, they noticed that they were good schemes for the benefit of the population, but the schemes were not being implemented properly. They were not gaining the desired results. And to the dismay of the governments, they found that they were not properly getting percolated to the right levels, and perhaps the right people were not tapped in to get these schemes implemented. With this vision and that thought, various committees were also constituted. Some prominent ones being the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, Ashok Mehta Committee of 1977, likewise. So these committees tried to re-establish the concept of Panchayati Raj system. And eventually, in 1990, a lot of amendments, and eventually, the devolution, it took place, and there was reintroduction of the Panchayati Raj institution with the mandate was the economic development, social justice, and giving some power to the local governments, local people. So there were 2-3 agendas. So social justice being one of them, and economic development at the rural level being the another. And eventually, as gradually progress happened with the 72nd and 73rd amendments, there were more powers disseminated to the Panchayati Raj system in terms of even the financial aspects. So roles and responsibilities, they vary from state to state as to what the panchayats would do. But nonetheless, they have been financially empowered. We will also see how financially they can gain some benefits. And there are about 29 items listed for rural developments that fall under the Panchayati Raj Institution scheme. Now, these are the 29 rural development schemes that can be harnessed for the Gram Panchayat development plans, and where we as disaster managers and the universities as the, the think tank, as the heads, we can all club together. We can have organizations and expertise like Dr. Prakash. So we can all club in and put in the DRR initiatives. So we'll also have a look at what are these 29 items. But what will this PRI do? Obviously it's a decentralized authority. So is for the development of the village and holistic village development. Then it also calls in for disaster management initiatives to be built in. And how do you see the role of Panchayati Raj system in disaster management? Yes, they are the first contact points for a block or for a village. So they, to an extent, they have the details of even the individual level information is present with them. It is the villagers, it is the communities, local communities that are very well informed about the various risks that are present in their systems and also the kind of capacities they can harness and even kind of collect or get it from the neighborhood. And since you and I, as a part of that village or as part of that Panchayati Raj system, are going to work for the benefit or for the holistic development of the village, a lot of accountability would lie on us. What kind of initiatives they can take up? The Panchayati Raj system. So when I say pre-disaster, it means during the prevention, mitigation, and preparedness phases. So awareness campaigns can be taken up for different disasters. The current pandemic situation is a very apt time to look into such, awareness building or sensitization works with respect to not just the pandemic concern, but with respect to smaller local epidemic concerns as well. A lot of places will now, with the changing seasons, will now see the setting in of smaller dengue, malaria, parallel to the coronavirus. Large part of the country, various states of the countries have been facing floods. Maharashtra is still facing that. Some parts of the down south is also experiencing floods. Assam experienced floods sometime back. Cyclones are there. Incidences of fire, incidences of other local, smaller events are happening. So it calls in for a multi-hazard sensitization. So you cannot even ignore in today's times the pandemic situation. It's still there. It's very much there in the within the community. If you look at the number of people getting impacted by the pandemic, so your awareness campaigns can have a mix of the kind of concerns which are present at the local level, maybe even within maybe your own Gram Panchayat levels itself. You may not, you necessarily need not look at the larger concerns of the state or the country, but you can focus on the concerns of that village itself. Representation of community for preparing the village disaster management plan, identifying, Dr. Suresh has, I think, covered a couple of areas of these, how you can identify, assess your resource gaps. So the idea is each community, maybe when I say a community, it could be a village, it could be a block itself. Each community may not have all the desired resources available with them when they start mapping their resources in terms of human capacity and man equipment capacities. But if you identify the gaps and if you feel that, okay, there are certain things which are a necessity, which we do not have with us, either can be procured or, can be collected from the neighboring Gram Panchayats. That is one aspect that needs to go into your planning. Or secondly, maybe you need to pool in resources, financial resources to bridge some of these gaps. This is something that can be, only when you're sitting with a particular community and working on it, you can identify that. You need to have synergies with local agencies and local NGOs and CBOs also. Why? Because one, they are very well connected. Their networks are strong. They have their own, expertise with them. So that can be also roped in. So that will be a good pool of resources that you can bank upon. You will have those resources. Encourage people to ensure their assets and livestock at the village levels. DISAS plans need to be activated and formation of task forces. Dr. Suresh has highlighted some of the disaster management teams that need to be formulated, which is also mandatory as per the DM Act. So the DM Act has made it mandatory that, at the village level or block levels, other than the national, the nation as a whole, we have a disaster management plan, which is NDMP. Each state has a state disaster management plan to be made, which is mandatory. Each district needs to have a district disaster management plan, which is mandatory as per the Act. And likewise, you need to have village disaster management plans made at the panchayat levels. Our intent would be not to see them in isolation in silos, but these need to be integrated in the GPDP itself, in the Gram Panchayat development plans itself. So one is the role of Panchayat PRI in the pre-disaster phase. Once you have the disaster set in, अब अगर वो आपदा का समय अभी चल रहा है, तो early warning dissemination becomes very important at that point of time. You have to keep monitoring, keep that flow of information, passing that information as to what the current situation is. Imagine a situation of a heavy rainfall. So what would be the scenario in the coming 1 day or 2 day, or what would be the scenario of an approaching cyclone in the coming 2 days or 3 days, or drought. So if you keep monitoring a situation, whether it would turn into a complete drought situation after 15 days or 20 days time, and how it would impact the crops, the less rainfall. So likewise, so that early warning dissemination becomes very crucial. Evacuation becomes very important to temporary shelter sites. Needless to say, now with the challenge of your pandemic around you, the protocol that sets in it becomes more challenging, because the pandemic says the pandemic prevention requires social distancing, having your masks to be worn in, and health hygiene concerns. But when you move a large population to shelter sites, then this becomes a very important challenge, because Fani was one of the classic examples where Odisha, the government of Odisha, to evacuate more than 12 lakh people, and that's a big, huge number of people to be shifted to temporary shelter sites. So you can imagine the condition at the shelter sites. So maintaining social distance would be a complete challenge. Maintaining, that proper health hygiene and those basic facilities and amenities to be provided would become a challenge. So maybe the pandemic has also given us an insight as to the need to enhance the construction of these shelter sites. Maybe we need the number to be increased a bit more for people to be in safe zones. Assisting rescue and relief efforts, monitoring the kind of relief distribution so the PRIs can play a role, and safe disposal of carcasses. And in the post-disaster, definitely one area where PRIs would play a very important role is damage assessment. What happens, or what we have noticed in a lot of places, is after floods and cyclones, you have destruction of different levels. Sometimes it is the complete house has got damaged, sometimes it is partial damage, sometimes the road. And for a lot of times, people slowly start getting back to their houses after the de-warning is given. And because the house has been partially, they start retrofitting, because then they have to live in it. But by the time the assessment team reaches, they do not get the correct picture of what the scenario must have been. So it impacts the relief distribution. So the PRI levels or the Panchayat levels can be the apt members to facilitate such damage assessments, timely. So that is where they can play a good role, so that people, the amount of loss that is incurred by the respective village population is kind of compensated properly. Formulating the rehabilitation and reconstruction plans. Like I said, these are long-term plans. They require a lot of planning. They require a lot of funding. They require a lot of brainstorming. And when you say brainstorming, please ensure that the respective community is a part of that initiative of that planning, because it is something you're going to build and you're going to make it for that community itself. One example I would quote from the tsunami of 2004. So, there was this very nice Japanese technology that was introduced by the government of, Tamil Nadu for Kadalur and Nagapatnam, which was severely impacted. But, they eventually, after constructing those houses, as per that technology, they realized that none of the fishermen moved into the new construction sites. Why? Because that was not to their taste. That was not the kind of lifestyle that community lives. And if you look at India, every few kilometers there is a transition. You have the ethics changing, you have the lifestyle changing. If you look at Odisha, at the very coast, you have a very mixed population of people from the fishermen from Odisha itself, and there's a huge migratory population from the coastal Andhra Pradesh also. So Odisha fish coastal villages have a combination of Andhrites and Odisha people. So their lifestyles are again different. So the same kind of thought process for giving them new rehabilitation, new livelihood opportunities, or new reconstruction measures would not be apt. So you have to have the memberships of inclusion of such members also when you are going for this planning. This is also an apt time when you are thinking about rehabilitation and reconstruction. Please remember, this is an apt time where you can get these done through some of the rural development schemes. State-based rural development schemes or even centrally sponsored schemes can be the ideal suited ones, wherein the concept of mitigation can be integrated. Structural mitigation, non-structural both. So when we say structural, it could be construction of some sort of new shelter sites, or the new houses can have earthquake-proof construction or flood-proof construction, or you can have cyclone-proof constructions, and likewise. Supervise and monitor some of the schemes that are running in the villages for better recovery. So that can be also one of the important roles for the PRI, because you need to now get back to the community to normalcy. So that's another important area where they can play a role. This is just for the information of people, our different stakeholder from the participant groups. The 15 Finance Commission has now renamed the Mitigation and Response Funds as the National Disaster Risk Management Fund and the State Disaster Risk Management Fund. The allocations of grants are for 2021 are as mentioned in the slides. What is important for us to note is that there is provision of 30% of this SDRMF for recovery and reconstruction, which means your new reconstructions, any new reconstruction at the Gram Panchayat levels, if you're going in for, roads, culverts, other bridges, smaller reconstruction initiatives of any of the rural development schemes, you can try and get some of these reconstruction from this 30%. Some of the funds can be utilized for making them better in terms of disaster management, or DRR, disaster risk reduction. And there is a separate 20% available for mitigation activities and for the awareness generation, for other empowering, for, there are two important aspects when it comes to empowering the communities at the village levels. One is giving them training for first aid, and second is having good volunteers for psychosocial care and counseling. This is one area that really requires a lot of new trainings to be built in, because this is something that is not visible directly. It takes a lot of time for people to realize that from within the impacted or affected community, there are few who would kind of take in the jolt that acha unko ek disaster ne impact kiya, and they slowly start accepting it. But from within those community members, they may be few females, they can be few male members who have lost their livelihoods, or females must be thinking, I've lost my children, I've lost my husband, I'm left all by myself. So for them, the impact could be much higher. So these are some of the people who have to be identified from the impacted community, and they need to be provided with proper psychosocial care and counseling. Why? Because at the Gram Panchayat levels, if you say Gram Panchayat development plans, it calls for the holistic development, which also means people who are impacted, in terms of their mental disturbances, they also need to be brought back to the normalcy state. So such capacity building measures in terms of first aid and psychological first aid, etc., also is important. These funds can be utilized here. This was touched upon by Dr. So you need to have formulation of disaster management committees. What we call them on paper are village disaster management committees, VDMCs. This is mandatory. The Panchayat needs to have a VDMC in place. The VDMC is mandated with the responsibility of getting the village level plans prepared with the help of course, a lot of stakeholders. It's not the committee members who are going to sit and formulate it. They will be a part of the facilitation team to do that. You need to have a lot more members identified from different sectors so that it becomes a holistic development plan. Like we have mentioned, you need to have awareness generation, situation analysis, hazard vulnerability risk mapping to be done. some of the members who can be a part of your VDMC. These are not rigid members. There's always a scope of flexibility. Please as per the people available in your respective panchayats, some of them may be really enthusiastic. A lot of retired people are really, they have a lot of experience and expertise. You can utilize those, harness their experiences and make them members of such committees, get facilitation done. These are some of the responsibilities of the what they can do. This is what Suresh ji has already covered. How my village looked earlier, what is the current situation of my village, what have we lost, where are the gaps, how does the entire geography, the terrain of the village is. You are well versed with it. And it is not just that for response you would be working. Say, for example, some of the examples which were seen were the DMTs. So if you are talking about the evacuation team, so evacuation team necessarily not just works during the disaster. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ लोगों को safety की तरफ ले जाने के time पे they will have a role to play. No, they would also be the ones who would map alternate backup routes, ensure that these routes are in working conditions and moving conditions, because there is a probability you have done the village mapping sometimes in the month of April, and the need to move to safety is sometimes in the month of November. So in the last 6, 7, 8 months, what has been the condition of your evacuation routes and sites that you have identified? They need to be in working shapes. So that is what is important. So likewise, you do the complete mapping of different hazards, the vulnerable sections. कहाँ पे गांव के ज्यादा घर बने हुए हैं, where are the religious places which can be identified as safe shelter sites, where are the places where during preventive state, during the normalcy state, you can build few construction sites, or you can have some multi-purpose cyclone shelter, multi-purpose disaster shelter sites which can be used by the communities for other purposes also. There are ample examples from Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, and few more northeast states also, where the gram panchayats very good village level community hall centers, and they use these shelters for a lot of purposes, for the panchayat activities also and for cultural activities also. This way, the utilization is also good. Such community shelters are managed also well, their maintenance is also good, and during emergencies, that they are well equipped in terms of even communication, in terms of if you want them to be used as shelter sites. So that is how your planning needs to think. You just don't need to have one isolated shelter site, and then for 2 years you do not know what is the status of that shelter site, and after 2 years you ask your population to move. That will not serve the purpose. It might lead to another disaster of some sort. So that needs to be avoided. This is also there. N number of permutation combinations, and the PRI members, the VDMC members, the village, the community members who are a part of that constitution team can sit together and formulate and make these calendars depending upon what kind of hazard events are there, what kind of livelihood opportunities. Here I've just quoted an example of farming, but you can have all other, fishing could be some of the other livelihood options. Some of there are service sectors also. So likewise, how it impacts the community and their workings, that can be measured in a seasonal map. These are the different teams which are mentioned that can be formed. And please remember, these committees will work in pre-disaster times, during disaster times, and post-disaster times as well. All right, moving on. Some just examples of different activities and measures that need to be incorporated at the community level. What kind of funding you can have to build up emergency kits at the household levels, how you can promote that. First, you need to tell the people what kind of emergency kits they need to prepare, and then subsequently at the panchayat levels, keep some of those things in hand. Do not ignore your vulnerable groups. They are the ones who need support. We have few more identified in the pandemic situations, so that also gets added to this sector, to the vulnerable group section. These are just an example of how you need to make your gender sensitive kit. You have to keep in mind that the needs of women, needs of young girls, the needs of small children, lactating babies, they have extra needs. So when you are making some sort of relief kits for these population, when you are planning for such kind of kits at the Gram Panchayat level also, you need to have this your kits to be made gender sensitive. This also means you are not ignoring the male populations, so from a personal health hygiene or a hygiene perspective, the shaving kits, these are also very basic essentials, so the needs of men, the needs of women, the sanitary pads, and likewise. So these all should form a part of this. My first experience of how a gender sensitive kit was formed was with the Jammu Kashmir floods of 2014 after the Uttarakhand event. So what happened in Uttarakhand 2013 was, NDRF, National Disaster Response Force, they were working with the Uttarakhand villages during the relief and rescue. And some of these officers, when we were training them for such gender sensitive kit preparations, they narrated that they were feeling very embarrassed when the village girls were approaching them for sanitary pads, because they are now in camps for months. That is a basic requirement. So our point was that if we as volunteers felt so much of embarrassment, then imagine the plight of the village girls. And in the next season, there were floods in in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And for the first time, I noticed that a lot of relief kits that were prepared had the inclusion of sanitary pads as a basic, compulsory item. So likewise, you have to make such, your kits. And these things also need to be sensitized to the people of villages. So आपके ग्राम पंचायत की जो डेवलपमेंट की अगर बात करोगे, तो उसमें ये एस्पेक्ट्स, दिस काइंड ऑफ सेंसिटाइजेशन of how people's need differs is also important. How will you do the integration? It has been, like I said, it has been made mandatory that in the GPDP, you need to have, the DM plan integrated. The 2018 guidelines, GPDP guidelines has made it mandatory. So these are the 29 subjects in which the Gram Panchayat development plans would, put an emphasis on. So you have agriculture, you have mind education, animal husbandry, fisheries. So can you not think of some preventive, some preparedness measures to take care of your livestock so that your livestock does not get impacted by the approaching floods or cyclones? You can do that, right? A poverty alleviation program, education, sector 17, the point number 17, you can utilize that for a lot of awareness generation activities, vocational education. What you can do, you can link it with skill building. You can provide people with alternate skill options. West Bengal has done very tremendous work, even Odisha, in multi-crop farming. They have trained some of their farmers who lost their land to salinity ingress. So what they did was, they taught them pond farming, the concept of pond farming. Even Gujarat, I remember, has done a bit of that. So pond farming, shrimp farming, so they can grow very good quality of export quality of prawns and shrimps, and likewise. A social welfare scheme can be utilized for promoting your mitigation initiatives, for promoting preparedness activities. You can cultural activities. You can have folk events to generate a lot of awareness. So what you have to do? Markets and fairs. You can make people aware that every household must have a disaster management emergency kit ready with them for the benefit of their own family members. Rural housing can integrate the the mitigation measures that can be done. Khadi, small scale industries, social forestry. So these are some of the sectors where you can a good brainstorming. You can easily contribute and integrate some of the DRR initiatives into them. So these are some examples of good governance, skill building, child protection and development. Indian disaster history and Indian disaster statistics say that, if I quote the example of only Bihar as one state, the state of Bihar experiences floods every year. It's a perpetual problem for them. And every year, on an average, after the flood season, Bihar sees, the missing of more than 2,000 young children. Now that's a big number, and these are children who go missing. They are either lured into some kind of, labor activities, or, they are for human trafficking purposes. So child protection and development initiatives of a village can ensure that if there is a disaster times, how do you see you can protect your children? So maybe some sort of quickly starting in within the shelter side, within the identified village community hall, you can start some small cultural activities, get the students, get the small children and young children engaged there. They will be engaged also, they will be diverted from the disaster situation also, and they can be monitored also, so you can always keep a count. So likewise, so some of these DMTs, that disaster management teams that you have, so they can have members who can do such guarding and take care of such schemes. So you have even a scope for a lot of technology interventions there. So spatial planning, e-enable of panchayats. Please Google. I am forgetting the name of that village. The panchayat head of that village has been called by even IIM Ahmedabad and few even outside the country. That young couple, that panchayat head, they go for talks how they have completely converted their village into an e-enabled one, and they have so many facilities provided for their own villages within the village itself. So the village community members don't feel the need to go to far off city places for a lot of businesses or for a lot of their activities. So everything is available, within their premises. So such initiatives can be taken up, and some of the schemes, maybe the centrally sponsored schemes, like the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or other Manrega MG Narega has a lot of examples across the country where people have tried to work on their roads with respect to mitigation, better planning, disaster management perspective, I'm saying, with respect to water conservation, with respect to river rejuvenations, even rivulets. There's an example from UP where with the convergence of the community members came in, the Panchayati Raj members came in, and the different departments that were working for one of the rivulets, and they revived the whole rivulet, because for a long time, there was no water in that rivulet. Some habitation had also come in, so those people were not moving out. So slowly, with sensitization, they were given another space. Those who had made their houses there, they were shifted. The entire rivulet is now regenerated, rejuvenated, and that water is being used for a lot of agricultural facilities. So likewise, these schemes, different schemes can be utilized for integration into with convergence of these sectors with the disaster management plans. These are just few examples. This is what I was referring to. It has been made mandatory to incorporate. This is like, if you look at the Gram Panchayat development plan, so you have the formulation of that facilitation, Gram Panchayat facilitation teams. And then they do a PRA, that is participatory rural appraisal with community mobilization. So this is what I was also referring to for the DM plan. So you need to have integration of the community members also as a part of this team. So when the community members are coming together and discussing the developmental agendas, in the same community members, that constitution can also discuss some of the pertinent hazards of that area, some of the disasters from the history of that area. So, and what resources we have, or what are the resources gaps. The of primary secondary data for the development agenda can also have collection of primary secondary data from the disaster management perspective. Situation analysis can also have the seasonal calendar put in place. So it's all integrated. It's the same community. What needs to be taken care is the formulation of that Gram Panchayat facilitation team. Maybe this team can have some of the members who have some expertise in disaster management. So that can be roped in at the beginning itself, and the entire process as you move on, the visioning exercise. So what is that visioning exercise? You're thinking about the developmental aspects that would be taken out in that village. So in that, you integrate some of the mitigation measures or some of the preparedness activities that can help prevent new disasters from occurring, or help prevent some recurrent disaster that is a part of that community. And this is how when you are sending the plan for approval, already your DM measures are integrated, your constitution of different teams would be integrated, and your resource planning is also there. So that plan approval in one go will also have the integration of the the DM plan also. Fine. So this is the collection of primary and secondary data, and where you can integrate your DRR and DRM measures. Just for a food for thought. So few activities which can be taken up when you are working at the GPDP level or for the developmental agenda level. So you can take this up. Visioning exercise is basically you have identified some of your concerns. You know that for our village, community, what do you say? Commutation is a concern. So maybe if road is a concern for you, in the plans, you will ensure that from the MG Narega scheme, you would want certain amount of fund to create new roads, new routes. That is something you are envisioning in that GPDP plan, in the development agenda. But alongside, because the state disaster risk management funds gives you provision for a better reconstruction, for a better mitigation, there are funds separated out. So you can utilize some part of that fund to make this road flood proof, right? So a development agenda is to make a road, but making it flood proof or making it making another backup route for people to move out during a cyclone season will kind of take care of your your disaster management or disaster risk perspective. So that's how you envision. Now see, for this particular session, it is only we can only just sensitize you with what the subject is about. It's only when you sit with a particular village. We have been working with, there are few states that have already initiated: Sikkim, Telangana, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh. Are few states I can just recollect who have already started integrating GPDP with DRR initiatives. UNDP had, started a project in the state of Himachal Pradesh where they had invested a lot of money for capacity building initiatives. So that kind of catered to the Panchayati Raj levels also, the PRI levels also, where they integrated some of their measures. But it was not directly into the GPDP. But now slowly, because it has now been made mandatory, you have to take these activities. So just to quote a few more examples. Yes, definitely, you can include a lot of your mappings, a lot of your instrumentations, your technology for envisioning also. That's like, it's technology alone will not work. You also need some sort of traditional bent. The Panchayat alone will not work. It requires some sort of new technological intervention. So it's a barter. So it's better to have that convergence. ठीक है ना? हर गांव का, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट का, हर प्रदेश के पास अपनी एक लोकल, अपनी एक इंडिजिनियस नॉलेज होती है. बहुत सारे ऐसे छोटे छोटे local coping capacity measures होते हैं. These are available with them. So let's not ignore them. Let's integrate them along with our technologies. Once you have the blend of both, you can fulfill a lot of simple mandates. So these are some examples of just to integrate how you can, who can be the potential. For example, if you are working with a women and child for the women and child development activity, the concerned ministry is Ministry of Women and Child Development. It can also be Rural Development Ministry. Who could be your potential facilitators, your social security members, your Anganwadis, through the livelihood aspects. These are the areas from where you can target some of achieving some of these things. And which are the schemes? Some of the Ujala, there is the other Yojana schemes which are available. What you have to do, you have to integrate health hygiene for mothers, health hygiene for lactating feeding mothers. So you need to train your Anganwadi people. So some of these initiatives can go into your, when you are doing the planning for your Gram Panchayat development plans itself. That is only the time where you will integrate this. This is what is the idea of converging both the things. So with this, I would just end this presentation. We'll be sharing the copies of presentation with all the participants along with the feedback form that would be given to you all separately. Over to you, Aradhana.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for the insightful and very informative presentation on basics of DRR and integration into GPDP. We have reached the question answer discussion with the participants. If participants have any questions, any queries, there is an option to raise the hand Forward with it.
Komal, GIS, see, GIS is a tool. All right. Yes, definitely. It's not that. Okay. So if you are making a seasonal calendar, if you're doing a mapping exercise while you are planning for some of the agendas, definitely you can use the GIS tool rather than writing a lot of documentation. If otherwise you will have to write, hamare gaon mein, you know, our village is impacted by such and such. You'll have to do a lot of writing part. So rather than that, what you can do is you can make small maps. A single map will show you the multi-hazard scenario. It will show you, okay, this was the forested area. This is so much of forest is still there. How close habitation is there to the forest? Is forest fire our concern? If yes, then how can you so that mapping, definitely your such tools will be very helpful in your visioning exercise also. What is important is to get the right blend of people in place. So I would just reiterate, the Gram Panchayat facilitation team, that team formulation which you are going to constitute should have a mixture, should have a blend of such people also who have an expertise or with disaster management, maybe with disaster management plannings, maybe they have experienced few disasters and they have worked in response and rehabilitation initiatives, so they can be roped in. All right. Thank you. I didn't get you scope of physical training. I didn't get you, Malik ji. Are you referring to training of what sort? I'm not clear with your question. Can you write? Which situation are you referring to? See, if you talk about a disaster time specifically, that is not the right time to give people trainings. All right, please understand that. So it is the time when a village is in a normalcy. You know that in the monsoon seasons, there are heavy rainfalls that occur in our district or our village gets flooded every year. So during the monsoon season will not be the apt time to go for some physical training. What you will do, maybe once that season has already gone, you identify the DMT members, the disaster management team members. Now, who would be the apt members who can be trained in taking care of people from floodwaters? Maybe people who know a bit of swimming, maybe people who are retired, who have some sort of, who are physical educators, the teachers in schools who do physical exercise teachers. Such people can be made a part of the team. Please remember, it's all a mixture of the basic logic and common sense and with some sort of skill and knowledge integration. Okay, na? If I say you have to make volunteers for first aid team, who would be the apt members? Anganwadi people. Villages have the concept of DISAS also. I still do not know if that's still very much a part, but they have some sort of that sensitization. Their bent is such. People who might be some from some paramedics retired, so little bit of that understanding though. Some NCC volunteers, people from the home guard or civil defense who have retired and are a part of that village, somebody from the army, from the defense who is retired, some doctors who are in your village, they are the people. And then even if you have a set of some new young volunteers who want to be a part of that, then you need to give them that skill set. है ना? उनको थोड़ा, you have to teach them, train them in some sort of first aid skills. Now, when the disaster situation is going on is not the time you would be giving them the training. So you have to look for apt time. So either during the normalcy phases, you identify what are your concerns. But if flood is not a concern at all, in the last 100 years, if you have never experienced floods, then that is not the right thing for your for the training. Then you have to identify which are the concerns. Is it cyclone? Is it forest fires? Is it fires in general? Is it drought? If drought is concerned, your efforts would be different. This is how it differs. Thank you. Over to you, Radha.
Yes, ma'am. We have with us Hitesh Kumar. I think he has a question. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Hello, Hitesh Kumar.
I think it's not audible, madam. We can go ahead further.
Please feel free to drop in your questions also on our mails. I'll put my mail ID also. We'll be happy to answer your questions there as well. Aradhna,
Yes, ma'am.
I think we can go for the valediction then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Professor Abdul Aziz, Center for Training, Publication and Supervision, to kindly start with the closing remarks.
Now, before I could make a closing remarks, now I request V.S. Prakash sir to give the closing remarks.
Yes, sir.
It is better the Prakash sir can make a closing remark.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul
Yes.
Aziz.
Yes.
It was a very nice listening to Dr. Sushma and also Dr. Suresh. They have covered the whole ambit of disaster management, disaster risk reduction at a Gram Panchayat level. So with this, what is in our hand is taking it forward, adding value to that, value addition, and where the community will be much more happier than whatever they are today, as far as disaster risk reduction is concerned. Both of them have clearly mentioned in the talk that we need to really make a progressive steps by involving all the stakeholders. Like stakeholders, they have made it very clear who could be the stakeholders of Gram Panchayat level. And Dr. Sushma also made it very clear all the resource persons available at the Gram Panchayat level need to be involved, And there is a traditional knowledge that need to be considered. More than that, both of them also, in a very explicit way, made it very clear that the risk and vulnerability are not static. They are dynamic. Because of the climate change and various other issues, so we need to really address the risk and vulnerability as a dynamic factor, not as a static factor, and use of remote sensing, GIS, and Suresh, Lamani, and Sushma, very clearly they made a mention of it. Probably there are much more higher resolution satellite like RISAT, SMAS, using which we will be able to map at land parcel level. Because a farmer holding a land of 2 biga or 1.5 biga. So probably if it comes to really addressing the issue, there are products available. Like I said, RISAT, SMAS, we can use it, and probably that all these things require some synergy, convergence, minds coming together and piloting in some of the areas. Certainly, the Karnataka State Rural Development Panchayat Raj University and NIDM, certainly in Karnataka. Karnataka already some relatively good logistics are available in terms of data, understanding the vulnerability, understanding the risk, and piloting can be done. And the resources, Dr. Sushma made it very clear, which is to be noted by all of us, that NDRF, SDRF fund, which is made available, 10% is available for capacity building. Say, for example, if it is about 300 crores, 10% of 300, about 20-30 crores is available for capacity building. Right now, there is a lot of scope for utilizing the money under the capacity building head to pilot in some of the village panchayats, NIDM and Karnataka State Rural Development Panchayat University, which could showcase as a pilot model for many other villages, Gram Panchayats in the Karnataka state and also to other villages in the India, because all said and done, the Bangalore is the Silicon Valley IT hub. They're talking about data analytics. Well, somewhere we need to take this forward using data analytics, which will certainly add value, credibility, and also insight, getting much more better insight in much more less time. Probably, I mean, this generation, students who are studying geoinformatics or disaster management or any other field related to this, we need to really make them, enable them to really prepare for the days to come, the future. Probably what I have learned 30 years back may have become redundant. Now every field, data analytics have made a big entry. Even the pandemic, we are using the data analytics to great extent. The village level plan needs a new thinking and convergence and new ideas, and which can really take all of us to much more satisfactory level of taking the DRR to the community. So it was a wonderful listening to both Dr. Sushma and Suresh, and thanks to NIDM and Karnataka State Rural Panchayat Raj University for providing opportunity to all of us to deliberate, discuss, and share our ideas, and a first step, and well, subsequently, I'm sure that it will take a good shape in the days to come. Thank you, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your closing remarks. I want to give a few supplements what already V.S. Prakash sir has said, that now there are 2-3 things are happening in Karnataka. Not only in Karnataka, in our surrounding states, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and many parts in Maharashtra and all. The heavy rainfall is going on, and especially in Gadag, we are just sitting and watching how the river Krishna is swelling. And with our previous history and previous record, our preparedness and planning is happening in our, especially in our district, in the larger part of Karnataka, and other states also may be taking that type of preventive activities. This is the right time, I feel, in my opinion, this is the right time that we have enlightened many of the issues regarding Gram Panchayat, what they are supposed to do during this situation, critical situation. So, and also I also thank NIDM for giving us an opportunity to join hands with them to organize this webinar, just because in Karnataka, especially in Karnataka, the Gram Panchayat elections are going to take place probably in the next month, or maybe in the month of December. The new committee is going to come up, and it is the right time for our Panchayat development officers, or our taluka level officers, or our district level officers to make those people aware of what is the DRR, what is the DM, and how it has to be implemented in GPDP plan. And we will also take forward, we are in the process of preparing one publication for panchayats itself. Was what Sushma madam was telling about the 29 activities what the Gram Panchayat is supposed to take part and take those initiations. That is a very good thing you have told, madam, and I am very happy that since now that we are in the process of preparing one booklet or one publication for Gram Panchayats referring to the 1993 Gram Swaraj Act, taking as a base, we are preparing one publication which will be a booklet, a guideline for the people who are there in the panchayats, not only for the people who are running the panchayat, for the people who are participating in the panchayats. So with all these, sir, especially Prakash sir and madam and Suresh Lamani sir, as I'm sure this webinar definitely has given a concept, highlighted each and every aspect of the GPDP plan, what all the actions to be taken. I once again thank you on behalf of Karnataka State Rural Panchayat Raj University for giving an opportunity and for having participated in this webinar. Thank you very much. Over to you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Since we have come to the end of the webinar, I would like to present vote of thanks. Firstly, I would like to mention our Executive Director, Major General Manoj Kumar Gupta from NIDM. I would like to thank him as well as Professor Vishnukant Chatpadi, Chancellor, Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University, Gadag District. We thank you, sir, for your support, for your guidance and motivation. We would also like to thank Dr. V.S. Prakash, Member Karnataka State Tanks Conservation Development Authority, for enlightening us with so many fruitful and informative information. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Professor Abdul Aziz, Assistant Director, Center for Training, Publication and Supervision, for coordinating and jointly organizing the webinar with NIDM. Thank you for your support, sir. And we appreciate our esteemed speakers for the session, Dr. Sushma Guleria from NIDM and Dr. Suresh Lamania. Thank you so much, sir, for your time as well as for the presentation. And last but not least, I would also like to thank our fellow participants who are from multidisciplinary background who have joined us for this webinar session. Thank you to all the participants for their time as well as for patience. Before I end the webinar, just few basic information as to the distribution of e-certificate will be done once the feedback form is filled by the participants. The feedback link and the presentation of speakers will be made to all the participants. Okay. So, Dr. Sushma, shall I end the webinar?
Thank you so much, Radna, for coordinating the whole thing. Professor Aziz sir, Dr. Prakash sir, Dr. Suresh Lamani ji, and please convey our regards to, on behalf of NIDM and our Executive Director, to VC sir also. Please convey our regards, and we look forward to working together. Maybe, hopefully face to face very soon with all of you. All right, sir. Have a good day. Have a good day to all the participants. Be safe.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On this note, I would like to end the webinar. Thank you for your time.